Pleased to have Noah Wyle on this program. Fans of ER are getting ready to say goodbye. Say it ain't so. To one of TV's most successful dramas next month, Noah and many of the original cast members have been back on the show this year and will officially say goodbye during a special 3-hour event on April the 2nd. You can also catch him in the new film, An American Affair. The movie opened in New York, Washington, and L.A. as we speak. Here now, a scene from An American Affair. An American Affair.
An American Affair, yes, yes.
You want to explain that, Mr. Wiley?
This is a story, it's a coming-of-age story about a 13-year-old boy living in Washington at the time when Kennedy was president. He is next-door neighbor to a woman who's loosely based on a real-life character who was mistress of Kennedy's and who died under very mysterious circumstances. And so this boy is sort of bearing witness to these historic events. And it all takes place in the period of time around the Bay of Pigs invasion.
Yeah. So you're playing somebody's daddy.
I play a 13-year-old boy's daddy,
and that makes Noah Wiley feel how? After watching you grow up on TV?
Well, being a father in actual life, not of a 13-year-old yet, but it felt appropriate.
Yeah. That was very diplomatic.
Thank you.
It felt appropriate. I liked it. You doing okay, though?
Very well.
Yeah.
Very well.
Well, of course, you left, back in 2006, I think. 15 seasons, though, of ER. Is that amazing or what?
It's pretty incredible. I got the job March 17th, 1994. I'm going to finish it up March 18th, 2009.
Wow.
So a lot of waters crossed into that bridge in the interim.
Yeah.
It's been a pretty
Take me back. Let's go back down memory lane here. Take me back to the beginning, to the genesis, and how you got involved, how it happened for you, how you ended up playing Dr. Carter. Just tell me how you got connected to this project, ER.
I was sent the script, and I actually was under the misunderstanding that it was a feature film script that I was reading, because it had been written as a feature film script in 1975 by Michael Crichton after he had finished his third-year rotation at Harvard Medical School. And it sat dormant as a film project for 20-some-odd years. And eventually it got dusted off, and John Wells came into the mix with Steven Spielberg, and they pitched it as a series. I auditioned several times for it, got the job, and literally thought I'd do 6 or 7 episodes and then it would be canceled. And I would take that money and go do something else. And 7 episodes into it, we were all on the cover of Newsweek magazine, and the show was a tremendous success. And then we were sort of off and running from there.
Yeah, and what you thought was going to be 6 or 7 episodes for you turned out to be 11 seasons?
11 seasons, yeah.
That's amazing. What do you make of that? I mean, I'm always fascinated by this, how something can sit for so long, to your point, get dusted off, that is, and become a huge hit. I mean, how does something sit, how is something written as a feature film, sits for 20 years, gets dusted off, and becomes part of iconic television for 15 seasons?
Well, there's an anecdote, I'm not sure if it's accurate or not, but the rumor I had heard was that Steven Spielberg wanted Michael Crichton to write Jurassic Park 2, and Michael didn't want to write it. And so it was a quid pro quo situation. It was, I'll write your movie if you make my TV show.
The ways of Hollywood.
Yeah, the ways of Hollywood. And it works extremely well as a television series. I'm not sure it would have worked as a feature film. And I think a lot of the show's success has to be attributed to the job that Rod Holcomb did directing the pilot. He brought to it a very innovative film technique, which is to use that Steadicam and have these long, uninterrupted shots that incorporated hundreds of people and ate up 10 or 11 pages of dialogue moving through rooms. That had never really been done before. So it was a new sense of pace, new sense of style, with a very old, tried and true format of a medical drama. It just clicked.
Beyond the pacing and beyond the styling, there's something else here. Why do you think this thing worked so well for so many years for the fans of it? Because we're not assessing the camera moving this way. I mean, we're connecting
not
something beyond that.
But it's an aggregates thing. I think it was the right cast at the right time. Right. You know, we were all extremely hardworking and dedicated actors, and still are. Yeah. But at that time, we were a lot hungrier than we probably are now. So a lot of credit has to go to John Levy, our casting director, and certainly there's something about an emergency room specifically it's a transition place. You don't really know where anybody's coming from, and you don't really know where anybody's going. And it affords you an opportunity to tell lots and lots of different stories in piecemeal fashion. Traditionally on a drama, you have an A, B, C storyline, and then you have a 3-beat structure to each story, beginning, middle, and end. And we broke all those rules. We would focus on 14 different stories, but only show the first act, or the third act, or the second act. And I think it was sort of that novel sense of storytelling, the right writing staff, the right actors, and the right environment.
Here's a question that I rarely get a chance to ask. I may have never asked this question in all the years I've been doing television.
Oh, boy.
Because of the uniqueness of the person I'm talking to. It's not often that I get a chance to ask someone to assess for me the arc of their character over an 11-season period of time. So what does Noah Wyle think of Dr. Carter's arch for all this?
That's exactly what attracted me to the project at the outset. Is I looked at all the characters in the script and I thought, this guy's got the largest arc ahead of him. Everybody else started off at a very high level of proficiency and professionalism. My character, the pilot episode was his first day on the job. And in the beginning, I was utilized mostly as comic relief. I was the guy that would drop the tray of urine on himself and, misdiagnose the patient and, be the butt of all the hazing rituals. And that sort of youthful naivete, that kind of bumbling, stumbling neophyte quality gradually matured into him becoming quite a good physician and quite a caring individual. That arc was tremendous. And it really wasn't until sort of 6 or 7 years into it when my character had an incident where he got stabbed and then he began to self-medicate and developed a drug addiction that they started to peel back the layers of that onion a little bit and show a little bit of a darker side to the character. But I'm very proud of the arc that we managed to pace out over those 15 years, and I'm very happy where the character is going to end up. It seems very, to use the word again, appropriate.
Yeah, that was very appropriate. Thank you. Now that we're nearing the end, I'm always interested to learn more about the backstory or the inside baseball, if I can use that phrase. Tell me something about a direction that Carter was going into, or something that you fought for that we're on. I'm trying to get something that I don't know about Carter behind the scenes over these 11 years that we might find of interest.
Well, I've always thought of him, not to get too lofty about it, but as a bit of a Shakespearean character, in particular Henry IV, Part 1, if you know the play.
Look at Noah Wyle.
Well, Henry IV, Part 1 is the prequel.
Henry IV, Part 1, if I must be specific. Go ahead.
It's the prequel to Henry V.
Yes.
He knows he's going to be king eventually. Carter comes from a very well-to-do family, and he's going to inherit a lot of money eventually.
Right.
But he doesn't feel deserving or legitimate until he's tested himself on another battlefield. And so he chooses to be in the company of vagabonds and thieves and drunkards and prostitutes. And if he can earn their respect, if he can test his own mettle in that company, then he'll feel truly deserving and not have to apologize for his birthright. And that's sort of the way I've always viewed the character, is that he put himself intentionally in harm's way. The backstory that I had a hand in crafting was, in my personal life, I've done a lot of work with medical relief organizations, international medical relief organizations, in particular one called Doctors of the World, which is an international triage medical unit that goes wherever they need to and basically treat refugee populations or people that can't help themselves. And I thought that would be a really exciting storyline to get the character involved in. So that was the catalyst for the character going to Africa and working in both Belgian Congo and Darfur.
I want to thank you for that, too. Not to cut you off, but I thought I was so moved and so empowered by that decision. And I didn't know you at the time. We just met for the first time. But I remember consciously thinking, whoever was behind this decision to take this storyline this way and to go to this region of the world, so kudos.
Can't take full credit. John Wells met me halfway on that one and wrote some great episodes. But it was a wonderful opportunity to take the success of a show and the audience that was going to tune in for 48 minutes, regardless of what we gave them, and highlight a situation that they probably wouldn't know anything about was a responsibility we took very seriously.
Yeah. How did this show? Now again, you mentioned earlier you didn't want to get lofty. I don't want to make you loftier.
Okay.
But to the extent that it did, and I don't want to make any assumptions here. To the extent that it did, Noah, how did this show impact you? Change your life, Noah Wyle?
Oh my goodness! Every way conceivable.
Yeah.
I mean, I went from an apartment with a cat and a ficus tree to single to married, 2 kids. With a
nicer house.
Nicer house. Yeah. It's redefined all my relationships, in my life, to family, friends, car I drive, clothes I wear.
Yeah.
It's been a very heady experience, and in a lot of ways, it's sort of been this very. It's one of the. I thought this morning this is an economic bubble that also is unsustainable and about to collapse.
Yeah. That ain't funny, but it is.
It's kind of
funny. When you look back on it, I assume that you have to be happy with this particular part of your career, the way this thing played out, the way the character started, the way the character ended? I assume no regrets?
None whatsoever. I stayed longer than most because I had no reason to leave. There wasn't any better writing out there to find, and there wasn't any better or more familiar place to work. I enjoyed that job, still enjoy that job, and getting to come back and have a hand in crafting the final chapter is really satisfying, and adds a nice element of synchronicity to the whole thing.
Yeah, I bumped into your friend of mine, Eric LaSalle, the other day.
Oh, yeah.
At a restaurant, and I tried to pull something out of him. He wouldn't give me nothing.
No?
I couldn't get nothing out of him.
Oh, I'll tell you whatever you want to know. There's a difference between Eric and I.
Take that, Eric LaSalle. Noah said he would tell me off camera, I'm sure.
Well, Thursday night, Eric makes his return to the show as an actor, and we got to play scenes together for the first time in 8 years.
Yeah.
Very rarely in an actor's life do you get to play with another actor and not have to fabricate any history whatsoever. It's all right there. I've been through a lot together.
3-hour special, April 2nd. ER says goodbye, and we say now goodbye to Noah Wyle. But thank you, Noah, for some great seasons on this
My pleasure.
great show, ER.
Thank you, Tavis.
Glad to have you here.